What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Since I picked up my new boost from Mountain Toys in Cochrane, haven't really had a chance to actually let it stretch its legs. Really wanted to get a good comparison of the 3 1/4 that came on the boost, comparing it to the Articat track. If you've been following along, I put the Power Claw 3" on my Mountain Toys 9R earlier this season. This 9R came with the 275, so I did a comparison with that track. My opinion, the Cat track just absolutely blew it away. But I was very curious of how it would compare to the 3 1/4. And I've been waiting for some decent snow conditions to be able to get out on it and really put it to the test. And then back to back, swap the track the next day, get out with the Cat track. And we finally been blessed with some pretty decent snow. So check out my latest video. That's going to be a full day on my boost with the 3 1/4 and, you know, some really decent conditions. Holy moly. So now the goal is to swap the tracks tonight, get right back out tomorrow. We'll hit the time lapse, get that swapped over, jump right into tomorrow. And at the end of the day, I'll do a little bit of a debrief and just give my opinion on both tracks. All right, guys, we did a successful swap last night. The Cat track is on the boost, so super excited to get it up and test it out. Like I said, I've put a lot of time on it already on my 9R and absolutely love it. So just super excited to see, with a little more power behind it, just how much more traction we can get. And as a bonus today, we've got Taylor on his boost, which is very similar to mine. He does have the SRP clutching. I am just bone stock clutching for the moment, but he's got the Powlifter on 155. So I think that'll be an awesome comparison as well. And we talked about doing some swaps to get on each and just do a little bit of comparison there. Really cool to be able to compare it from yesterday with the 325 and then now have the 2 sleds today, Powlifter and Cat, and just see how they all stack up. Okay, first climb with the track. The snow's a little wetter here. It should get better as we go up. See how she does. Well, shoot, snow is definitely very wet down low here. The base is anyways, the top's kind of fluffy, but got a little greedy here. Was pointed uphill and tried to see if I could go from a stop, and it went a little bit and then it found dirt. Not the track's fault, this is all rider error. Get this sucker unstuck and keep going. And we're back. Just rolled her out. Didn't have to pull the shovel out, so it doesn't count as a stuck. Just catch my breath and let's keep going. Exact same thing I did last time. entrance. Okay, so perfect little opportunity to line the two sleds up. Definitely some harder snow, but and like I said, a lot of variables, different suspension. Taylor has the SRP clutching and he's a little lighter body weight, so we'll see for the fun of it. We'll just see how they want to hook up. I can definitely tell this one is digging pretty good and skis want to come up. So yeah, we're just gonna mash it. No revving, no nothing, just mash and go for it and see what happens. You can maybe come up a foot. Try to watch your track speed for the fun of it so you can compare. Okay, ready? See what you reached for max?
85.
85, yeah, and I don't think I got over 80. Could tell the bottom you definitely got out quicker. I kind of bobbed and had to let off and get going, and then once we were going, we were pretty darn close.
Yeah, I really don't think that was a track change. I think that's just between the clutch.
100%, I'd agree. I think they both performed pretty well the same. Clutching and a few weight differences there, but...
So reviewing the footage now while editing the video and being able to watch it in slow motion, there's definitely a noticeable difference on the takeoff of both tracks. So I'll play it in slow-mo here, but you can see we start at almost the exact same time, but I immediately had to chop the throttle because you can see the skis are just coming straight up, and that's definitely a characteristic of the cat track, is it just bites so hard that it really wants to get you to jump out of the snow, and it's moving you, but sometimes it's literally jumping up as opposed to forward. And I think that's really noticeable here in this video. So I had to chop the throttle immediately, otherwise it would just be standing straight on its end. Whereas Taylor, you can really see that it is just kind of up and on top right away. And after watching the video, I messaged him and asked, do you remember if you had to chop on the throttle during our race? And so sure enough, he said he did not. He just mashed it, and you can really see the difference of his sled just up and on top. The skis don't ever really get too crazy, just up and moving. And again, there's some variables. He's got the Öhlins, a much stiffer suspension, so that could be holding it down as well. So I thought this was just a really cool representation of each track. They both moved the sled right away. Cat track still jumps out, but it's a little more up as opposed to forward. It's just very playful, and that's what we're gonna see throughout the video, and you'll hear me comment about it, where that Powlifter, as we all know and as Burandt claims, gets you up on top and gets you moving forward. So we can definitely see those two characteristics here. And also, after slowing down the footage, I did see a max of 81 kilometers an hour. It just blipped. It definitely averaged around that high, or 78-ish kilometers. There's about 4 or 5 kilometer an hour difference between the two sleds. And that difference we both agreed on, we attribute to the clutching as opposed to the track. So let's go ahead, keep playing, and we're going to debrief it at the end.
Good save at the end there.
I got a little close. I just wanted to give you a high five. Darren wasn't expecting that much of a wall there. my momentum going. That is not keeping my momentum. Hard to see this stuff in this lighting. I didn't even see that dip. Yeah, baby. So I can definitely tell the cat track is digging a little more than I was expecting, but these conditions are definitely causing that. I mean, you can just feel it biting. It gives you such crazy feedback of it just getting traction. Pretty well everybody is digging pretty good here. It's just the way the snow is set up. And when you're going from a dead, there's a lot of trenching at first and building up momentum. This was Jesse here on his 165 with the 275. And you can see he was laying a pretty deep trench kind of the whole way. And if any track is going to get up on top quick, it's that track. So it's not just the cat track doing it. Taylor on the Powlifter is saying the same thing. Everybody's digging quite a bit before going, but I definitely feel like this track is biting and getting me going. And it bites so hard that like for any bow tie or any kind of aired out pop, you let off and jump on it and you can just feel it bite the snow, and it literally jumps out of the snow. It's just so responsive that way, which can be tough if you're trying to climb and you're letting off and getting back on it. It definitely wants to do, like I said, jump backwards. So it can work against you in a climb if you're on and off it like that. So I guess that is kind of a trade-off of just how much it does bite, you know, where maybe the Powlifter kind of keeps you on top and keeps you going even when you're on and off. You know, some trade-offs with it for sure.
Oh, looks like the Powlifter trenches too.
Oh yeah. Definitely does.
So we're gonna get Taylor to jump on my sled again. Boom stock clutching, Jaws can, and the CR Racing intake with the cat track. Taylor's sled, Jaws can. He's got the rib cage intake, SRP clutching, and 310.
Very similar sleds, and we're gonna just ride them and see how they hook up any different. These conditions, we're kind of thinking they're pretty similar, but we'll give them a shot and just see what we think afterwards. Got her dug in pretty good. Gonna kind of start from stop and just see if it wants to get up and go.
I was pushing along there. It kept going though. I let it just chew, and it was chewing. And then here really started to get a bit of momentum, but I knew I didn't have enough to get over this hump, and he's enjoying that one. Knew I didn't have enough to get over this hump.
Could have done re-entry or something, and I just got stuck between decisions and did nothing. Track is not at fault. I actually thought it might get up and go better from down low there, but as you can see, the first little while it was pinned and just barely moving, but it kept going.
Planted that right in between some trees.
Okay, I'm in my thinking chair here in my camp room. Now let's debrief. So I've made a few comments about both tracks already, but at the end of the day, Taylor and I were discussing, we were both hard pressed to notice really any difference between the two tracks. When we swapped sleds, we really couldn't feel much of a difference. Both tracks would dig a little bit before they went. Both tracks would still trench. So it was really hard to tell much of a difference. The biggest difference of the two sleds, Taylor's was faster, no doubt. We've seen it in the race and I could tell riding it. It was definitely quicker. And we both agreed that that was from the SRP clutching as opposed to the track. And then the second most noticeable thing was the suspension. Mine is just a bone stock velocity setup. I haven't even touched them from the dealership, so just a neutral set. And he has his Öhlins and set pretty stiff. So you could definitely feel that difference in the handling. His was actually much more difficult to handle. So there's no doubt that the clutching and that stiffer, heavier suspension was very likely getting that sled up and moving quicker and also keeping it down a little more tame. So in the race that I broke down a little earlier in the video, it was pretty apparent that his sled was kind of up and out quicker. And like I said, there's a few variables there. There's the clutching and also the stiffer, heavier suspension, keeping him more tame. But you know, that is what that track is advertised to do. And so it was very noticeable in that slowed down clip. But honestly, once we jumped on each other's sleds, I didn't really feel that much difference. I didn't feel like it would just pop up and move. There's still a lot of situations where it dug first before moving, and we saw some of those in my GoPro clips. So despite that difference being very apparent in that first clip with the race, the rest of the riding throughout the day, honestly, was not very noticeable at all. What I do think is very noticeable is how playful the cat track is. The thing just does backflips on flat ground, which, like I mentioned before, can be a hindrance if you're trying to climb, which I've definitely noticed. That track in combination with the Chaos 155 is very rowdy. You can definitely get it to climb, but it is very ski happy. You know, that's something to take in consideration. If you want a playful sled, I don't think you can beat that cat track. It bites so hard and you can literally feel it grab and just pull the sled up. The sled is just very playful to begin with, and then that track just adds on top of it. So you could definitely do a lot to tame it down. I can put a pro limiter strap. I can tighten up the suspension. So, you know, there's definitely ways of taming that track. I just love how aggressive the track is, that you literally feel it grab. So at the end of the day, they both move the sled. There's no doubt. They both get excellent traction, move the sled forward. I would say the cat track is just a lot more playful. It kind of wants to come up, whereas the Burandt track does like to go forward. The video started off as a 3 1/4 comparison to the cat track, but the snow conditions were so different between the 2 days. A lot lighter and fluffier the first day. The second day it really set up, it was a lot heavier. So the video kind of steered towards the cat versus Burandt track. But talking about the 3 1/4, it's not a bad track at all. I do find that it does like to dig a lot. Doesn't have the same bite as the cat track where it's digging and kind of pulling you up. I feel like it just actually digs down and it's gonna find traction, but it goes a little ways before it does that, and then it slowly starts pushing you forward. So I do believe the cat track and the Burandt track are a superior track. They both move the sled much quicker than the 3 1/4. So I hope that does give a little bit of insight on these tracks. Like I said, not super conclusive. They both behaved very similar, both excellent tracks. And I'd be very curious to revisit that comparison when I do get the clutching in my sled, just to take out that variable. At the end of the day, both phenomenal tracks. The Arctic Cat track is significantly cheaper, so that is definitely something to consider. But I would argue also that the Burandt track appears to be quite a bit more durable. So again, another consideration, but stay tuned, guys. We'll definitely do some more comparisons throughout the season in different conditions to get to the bottom of this, of which track is the best. We'll catch you in the next one.